everybody, and welcome to the October meeting of the Human Relations Commission. We'll start with roll call.
Commissioner Alasani, Vice Chair Petty, Commissioner Chen. Here. Commissioner Moyne. Chair Onan.
Here.
Commissioner Savage.
Here.
Commissioner Stone.
Here.
All right, thank you. We are down a few commissioners. One is supposed to be here, and we expect her shortly. Do we have any agenda changes, requests, or deletions? Everybody okay? The agenda for tonight? All right. And do we have any oral communications from the public? All right, then we're good there. And approval of minutes.
And I put 1 minutes in front of you.
Okay, so these are the ones that Mary distributed earlier, that we were all supposed to vote, well, not vote, but indicate yay or nay?
Yes.
Okay. And I had submitted one change. Was that okay? All right, so does anyone want to make a motion to approve these minutes?
I move we approve.
All right, a second?
A second.
All right, make sure you turn your mics on, people. All right, so that's been motioned and seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstain? All right, the minutes are approved. Thank you, Mary. All right. So our next order of business is something that gives me great pleasure to introduce. I wanted to provide just a little background for the rest of the Human Relations Commission. As you know, one of our major responsibilities is to make recommendations for HISRAP funding, and these are funds that are sent out to different agencies in the community to help fund various programs and projects. And one of our recipients is the Palo Alto Housing Corporation, and they run many programs for youth especially, and one is called Digital Leaders. And in Digital Leaders, and Anna can give much more information than I can, but basically the kids do an internship over the summer and learn how to make films. So for the past 2 years, I've been invited to their open house screening at the end of the summer, and I have really enjoyed the student films I've seen. Some have been funny, some have been poignant, some have been public service announcements, some have been very personal looks at family members, and this one in particular really struck me last summer as I thought it touched on many, many issues that pertain to our scope as the Human Relations Commission. So this film was made by a young brother and sister team who are here with us tonight, Dami and Titi, and it's called Living in Silicon Valley. So before we begin the film, I wanted to see if Anna, if you'd like to introduce a little bit more about Digital Leaders and tell us a little bit more about the young filmmakers, and if they have anything they want to say before the screening, we'd love to hear from them as well. Oh yeah, if you feel comfortable, you can come up here and speak to us.
We need you in one of the mics. Either
Or you can speak into that mic, whatever's you're comfortable. Because we're on TV, so we want to make sure that they hear your voice.
They're going to tell you guys.
Okay, they're going to come. All right. I like that.
Yeah.
Young people taking initiative.
All right, so this summer we were in Digital Leaders, and so one of the program topics was we were supposed to figure out our major film project for the end of the year, and we wanted to focus on living in Silicon Valley. There were a lot of other topics, but we chose this one.
My main reason for choosing living in Silicon Valley was for the aspect of, actually living here. This is like a tech hub. This is where everything's starting off and spreading around the world. So I thought it'd be interesting to have like a child's or a teenager in high school's view on this and the problems and the struggles that the everyday life that they live through and how we can resolve it. So, about Digital Leaders, okay, this is my 4th or 3rd year being an intern here, and it's really interesting because each year it's like we figure out or we have a plan on what we're going to try to learn and what we're going to try to do. And this year was about filming and photography and how we were going to teach that to people and use that to get our voices out. So we went on various trips to San Francisco, took pictures of what we found, like the art we found there that was really interesting, and videos such like this. We did a My Motto video that pertained our everyday motto, what we go by, and other videos that were really interesting to us. So right now we're going to show you living in Silicon Valley.
All right, great. All right, so we ready to start? All right. Are we? And hopefully no technical glitches. Guys, I think I liked your film even better the second time around. I'm glad I got to see it twice. So yeah, I was really touched by this film, and something we don't talk about a lot in Palo Alto are the class differences, and especially from a teenager's perspective, you know, from someone going through school with their classmates coming from all different backgrounds. So I just wanted to invite Dami and TT and Anna too to maybe come and sit with us and maybe just talk about the film a little bit and see if some of my colleagues here might have questions for you. Would you be comfortable doing that? Do you want to stay up there?
Yeah.
Okay. You can sit here or you can stay up there, whatever you're comfortable.
You can stay up here.
Okay, you can stay up here. Anna, do you want to sit up here with us? We can share a microphone with you. Is that okay, Greer? Yeah. Might have questions about either digital leaders and also questions about the film. So were there some reactions or comments that people wanted to share?
I think it's
This is
really
Commissioner Chen,
very,
yeah.
very interesting, the video. I wonder where and how do you find the stars in the video?
Well, two of the people that I interviewed, John Charlton and Mason Whitman, they both attended my school. I know John because I grew up with him from elementary school.
You were at Palo Alto High School?
Yeah, Palo Alto High School. And Mason, they just moved here from New York, and his brother's on my soccer team. So that's how I know the little brother.
Oh, cool.
And Elena, she was a part of Digital Leaders before.
Yeah, I recognized her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Greer? Wanna-
Yeah, first, congratulations. That was a great video and very interesting. Did you talk to other people besides the kids that you interviewed in the video and kind of did you notice is there sort of similar responses throughout the community, or at least as far as your friends go at school, do most people seem to have the same feelings as the people you interviewed in the video?
Okay, well, since I was the one interviewing people, I did interview some other people, and I did get the sense that some of them did see the divide as others didn't as much. For like the one person who said he didn't really see it, Mason, it's just because that year he'd moved from New York, so I feel like from there, you know, he hasn't yet adjusted to it. He hasn't seen everything. As for John, who's lived here his whole life, he was able to grow up with it and see the difference. And I did interview other people, and I did see that. It's just they didn't really want to get put in the video for what they thought or believed in.
Commissioner Savage?
Yeah. What other groups have seen this besides us? And what kind of comments did you get from other groups?
So we showed this to our families on opening night, or the end of Digital Leaders, and they also they saw that the video was very representative of Palo Alto, and yeah, I think they were just like, it resonated with them because they see that divide also.
Do you have ambitions of being filmmakers when you're older?
I think they already are filmmakers.
I guess like making a film, I could see myself doing that, but I don't know. This is mainly like Dami choosing the interviewers, and like the questions were his idea, so I think he could go into that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel some connection with interviewing people and having a connection, like a one-on-one with someone. I do kind of wish I could do that in the future. I'm hoping maybe I could. It's really interesting to see what's going on in people's heads.
Very good. And if you're looking for a leading lady, let me know.
I was wondering, have you shown the video to your peers, your friends at school, in the same age, going to the same school? What do you think?
No, we haven't yet,
Okay.
but
Just curious.
I've shown it to some.
What
They-
did they say?
Yeah, some of them liked it. Mason was like, he felt that it made him look like he didn't really know much, but I did kind of explain to him that he was the new one and that he hasn't really seen it yet. But yeah, I've shown it to some of them. Some of them really liked it. So, yeah.
I'm sorry I'm late. First of all, I apologize.
You need to speak into a microphone.
Secondly, what grades are you in, or where are you?
We go to Palo Alto High School. I'm a junior.
and I'm a sophomore, but during the summer of this film was when we switched into the higher grades.
And what about distribution? As I understand it, it's about class differences, right? So what about distribution? Let's say somebody like me, I haven't seen it. So is there any way people can see it besides?
Actually, we were just talking about like maybe entering it into some film festivals so that people could get a more worldwide view of this video.
And the video is also on YouTube under Palo Alto Housing Corporation.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Turn on your little red. Is it on? Oops, now turn on. Okay.
Is it on there? Okay. Yeah, so also the actual digital leaders, they have a blog. So if you go to packdigitalleaders.wordpress.com, under videos, it'll be listed in there.
Yeah, Anna, can you maybe send that to Minka and or Mary, and they can distribute to the HRC?
Sure.
We'd love to see that. So I was wondering, Dami and Titi, can you tell us how some of these issues have impacted you? Like, is that too personal, or could you share, like, kind of what your thoughts were about that?
I don't know. Personally, I find that like you could look up to these people who are so like prestigious and affluent, and you could just like work harder to be in that position also. So it's like kind of like role models, because you see like all these big tech people who are big names, and you just want to work hard to be in that position.
And before, it kind of impacted me a lot because I found it really interesting that before we were living in downtown Palo Alto, 3 bedrooms, and we had to move because only one parent was allowed to work. So it wasn't enough to keep 5 people happy. So we moved into a 2-bedroom where both my parents are allowed to work. So I thought it was really interesting how things like that can really affect people, and how, growing up with that, you have to learn how to cope and be able to get better with it.
Are there some more comments or questions? I've got a couple more, actually. So I think the remark that in the film that strikes me the most was, I think your friend John, who says that there's a challenge with having empathy when you're very, very rich, and it's a challenge for him, he said, to have empathy and to try to understand people who don't have all the money to do whatever they want. So what do you think about that remark? Did you think that some of your wealthier classmates or friends are insensitive in some ways? Do you feel like sometimes you need to educate them around the fact that they're very fortunate, and not everyone in the world is as fortunate as they are? Or do you feel like that's a life lesson they're just going to have to learn in their own time, if ever?
Oh, definitely. That's something that a lot of people in Palo Alto do struggle with, is understanding that there are other kids that don't grow up with the same fortune that they did and the same wealth that they did growing up. And when he said that, it really struck me because it was like his mom, she works with kids, underprivileged kids who are privileged. So it was really. He still saw that.
Did you turn yourself off?
No?
No, you're
Okay.
on. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like whenever friends at school talk about that, it's like I kind of have to let them know, well, there are kids out there who don't grow up the same lifestyle as you, that have to do other things, have to work. And the reason I chose to have kids in this video was because some of my friends who graduated that year decided that it would have been better for them to go to Foothill for 2 years and then transfer to another school than go into the school that they got into, because it would be easier for them to work and save up money to help their family with other kids in the family that the parents would need to help raise money for them to go to college. So I thought that was also an interesting point to add to the video.
Oh, sure.
I do remember us having a conversation during the summer about the question that you mentioned, and I think it was TT that said that a lot of times when people think about, the class division, that kids tend to be like, oh, well, it's an East Palo Alto thing. Do you guys want to comment on that?
Because somebody in the film says that. Was that
Yeah.
Mason? Yeah, so, yeah, come.
Yeah, so I guess a lot of Palo Altans, they don't really, because in the media and just everywhere else in the world, they kind of see Palo Alto as just being filled with rich people. And so Palo Altans tend to just take that little philosophy, and they are like, oh, it's all upper class people living here, and they don't, and that little blinder kind of blinds them to seeing that there's also middle class people, and then some people who just can't really, or just in the lower part of that circle, I guess.
And for, I don't, yeah, what she was saying about the media, I thought it was really interesting how the media portrays East Palo Alto as the hood, that you're leaving your home, your bubble, and entering a place that's dangerous or scary, and it's nothing like that. So when Mason said that, I wasn't really mad. It was just like, I mean, you'll see that it's not like that, because Palo Alto, East Palo Alto, they're really not like that different. A lot more people live in East Palo Alto because it's easier to get a house there than it is in Palo Alto, because Palo Alto is the center place for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I was curious too. Oh, I'm sorry. Anna, did you have something else you want to say?
I think Titi had something.
Oh, Titi, please. Go ahead.
I think another topic about this is that a lot of Palo Altans, it's either that you're super rich or you're either extremely poor. They don't really see an in-between. So that's why they always like compare Palo Alto and East Palo Alto, because for them it's Palo Alto the super rich and East Palo Alto the extremely poor.
Definitely. Well, another comment that I think both of your friends, Jonathan and Mason, made were that they felt that the cachet of, the prestige of being in a Palo Alto school system, it sounded like they thought it guaranteed you entry into a four-year college, and that colleges were just after you because you were from Palo Alto. And, as we were saying before, a lot of kids, leave the Palo Alto high schools and then end up needing to do a couple years at a community college because they can't afford to go straight into a school. Even if they got into a good school, they might have to defer, and it seemed like these young men were not seeing that. It's like they thought they were riding some wave of Palo Alto prestige into college. And so do you think they're just not aware, or what do you think's going on there with that comment that they made?
Well, I think with that comment, I think that some of them do see that as Palo Alto, going to school in Palo Alto gives you the golden ticket into a four-year college, as others see it as Palo Alto isn't going to give you the golden ticket, but you can work for it and then you can get it. And when John said, and Jack said that, it was really interesting because he's a really smart kid. He works really hard. He does what he needs to do. It's not like he's like dependent on his parents' wealth. He works himself. He does what he has to do to get the grades. And Mason, he's a sophomore too, so he's not really used to any of this. But as the golden ticket, it's just like a lot of people do believe that Palo Alto is going to give you that because it's a well-known district, and Palo Alto High School is supposed to be like, oh, Jeremy Lin came here, James Franco graduated from here. A lot of important people came from Palo Alto High School, and that's going to give you, and since colleges see that, that's going to give you the edge over people who go to school in, like Mountain View, go to school in Gunn, go to school in Saratoga, Sacramento. It's going to give you that edge because Palo Alto is supposed to be like the holy grail of high schools.
I think another of these problems is that being in Palo Alto, a lot of the people just immediately think of Ivy League colleges. They don't really see any of the like lower or like just normal colleges. And so a few weeks ago, our math teacher was actually talking about this, in which he went to I think he went to Santa Cruz in California, and a lot of the kids were just like giving him a side eye because it was weird to hear that. And he's just like, a lot of kids don't realize that Ivy League colleges, as awesome as that name may sound, it may not actually fit your personality. It may not actually fit into what your lifestyle is. So they go into that college and they just like immediately struggle because they came from Palo Alto and they think that that's where they need to be, and they don't really see a different side of like sometimes things just don't work out that way. You need to go to a college that actually fits you. You don't need to go to a college that the big name is going to somehow make you a big person and get you into a big company.
Well, another question I have for you guys, although I don't want to hog the conversation, do other people have things they want to jump in on? If not, okay, because I have another question. Is that in addition to class, the young lady who was in the film, who was another member of Digital Leaders, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. Elena. She talked about being a minority in Palo Alto, and I think she's Latina, from a Latina family. So your family, as I understand, your parents immigrated from Nigeria, from Africa, and so you're in Palo Alto, so you're black, and your family is an immigrant family. And so how do those things line up with these class differences that you see? Because it seemed like Elena was kind of getting at that from her experience as a young Latina living here. But how has that impacted you, or if it has?
I think it's that we're minorities in Palo Alto because it's just, I don't know, you see a lot of white people and you see a lot of Asians, and that a lot of those people from Palo Alto also see that East Palo Altans are filled with Latinos and black people. So we also immediately think that we're the minorities, and that's also partly the truth because in classes, it's rare to see that you're more than one of your race, as sad as that is. But yeah, it's just that way.
When you meet people, do they think you're from East Palo Alto?
I don't know. It's kind of obvious sometimes if you're from East Palo Alto because those kids kind of like hang out at the wall. This part in Palo Alto High School that's next to the student center, and then sometimes if you're from Palo Alto, they notice because like maybe you're wearing the same clothes as they are, and you're like interacting with them.
And going off the wall, okay. So I'm in like middle school, 8th grade when you're like talking about Pally. It's like, oh, the wall. That's where all the cool kids hang out. It's where the minorities are. You know, that's where we're all going to go when you go to high school. It's like, no, that's not where you want to go. The wall is just where people hang out. A lot of people are there, but it's categorized as the minority wall because most people who hang out there are minorities, and that's because they feel like it's better for them to hang out with their own race or the people that they categorize themselves with than others, than to reach out and hang out with someone else. And going off people saying, "Are you from East Palo Alto?" I have gotten that before, where it's like, "Hey, can I get a ride home?" It's like, "Oh, where do you live in East Palo Alto?" It's like, "No, I actually live in Palo Alto." It's like, "Oh, okay, even better." It's like, all right, but it's like, I really just think living here, you are going to be categorized from where you are, especially being like black. It's like, all right, we've seen a lot of them. Most of them live in East Palo Alto, so let's just put them in that group. It's not until like they know you where it's like, oh, where you're from. And going off that, it's like classes too. In Pally, it's like you don't see a lot of minority kids taking higher lane classes because they don't believe they belong in those classes. They believe that it's okay for them to be in the lower classes because that's how they see themselves, as lower. And I don't know, it really struck me, especially in middle school, how I had a conversation with one of my staff at Jordan Middle School, and she was like, yeah, I don't like how a lot of the minority kids think that they belong in the lower classes when I've talked to them and I've given them homework from upper classes and they're able to do it just fine. I don't see why they believe that they belong in a lower class. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to their families that are putting them in school.
I think that's really a critical issue for the whole community, and that is something, if we're able to show your film at one of our future roundtable events, that's a great, great issue that we should all talk about as a community. So I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I was wondering if in wrapping up, unless someone else has a question, why don't you ask your question and then we'll let the kids go. They probably have tons of homework.
To what degree, I mean, your parents are Nigerian?
Mm-hmm.
And yours? I don't know if you're related.
We're siblings.
Okay, good. So your parents are Nigerian. To what degree do you identify as Nigerian American? And does that impact your school experience?
Yeah, I think so a lot because I don't know. I remember the first time I went to like an after-school program, and we were like talking about our races, and one girl was kind of like, "I never thought of you as black. I immediately thought of you as African because of the way you act." And so I guess that's kind of just like black people act like they're immediately from East Palo Alto, and Africans kind of like try to meld into just like we're everyone else. And so I guess I identify as African because that's what everyone else identifies me as.
What about, may I follow this up?
Oh, sure.
What about because it's an identity in the sense of a whole set of traditions and things, just like, you know, another child would be French or another French American, or, you know, recent immigrants. I'm talking recent, I mean the last generation. Do you see that as a good thing too?
Yes, I think that's a really good thing to be like from places outside of America, because you see like a whole world culture. And one of the problems of being an American is that you're kind of like just seeing your own little bubble, and a lot of that problems is that like with the Ebola crisis, a lot of people are like, oh gosh, we're going to get it. It's like, no, it's actually really hard to get that disease. And another problem is that I actually came to America when I was about 1 year old, so I didn't really see a lot of Africa. And Dami actually went there 2 summers ago, but I haven't gone back. So I don't really, it's kind of hard for me to identify with a culture I haven't really been a part of yet.
I identify with being African because that's where I'm from. It's the culture I brought with me and the culture I got to go see. And it's what, I don't know, I think of it as an honor because I get to bring to America, that's like the melting point of where all these races come together. And I get to bring my own experience with Africa, and I get to bring that here. And I think that separates me from the norm of America, and it gives me like a new type of light where I'm interesting because I got to go see something that you guys haven't witnessed yet. And I think that's the same thing with people who say they're from France or from Sweden or Spain. They're bringing something, and they're interesting because of that.
Absolutely. All right, so in wrapping up, I was just wondering if you guys could share with us some of your experiences with the Digital Leaders Program. You know, we get a lot of paperwork, and we read applications from different agencies asking us to, you know, give them some money so they can have a program like this, and we make our recommendations, and then sometimes we don't really know what happened or how it affected people or what they got from it. So I really liked this experience and being able to view your film, not just your film, but all the films from last summer, because it kind of gave me a sense of what these grants turn into, you know, for the agency. So if you could tell us a little bit about your experience, and maybe Anna, and then if you could fill into a little bit more about Digital Leaders, we'd love to hear more about that.
Okay, so I've been in Digital Leaders for 2 years now, and I have to say that this year is probably my favorite out of the two so far. And it's just that because we focused on video making, which we did last year also, but we also focused on making photos and combining that, and just like teens in media, and it kind of resonated with me because that was my own situation. There's a lot of teen portrayal in media, and it might not be the right one, so it's kind of like our job to create the right one, and I think that was a really awesome topic and thing to do this summer. And with the photos, I really loved being able to make a different kind of art than I usually do, which is painting and drawing, and it was just a new medium that I got to explore, and I really loved that. And I think it really resonated with Dami because now he's like in a photography class, and he's like taking photos, and he got a job in photography, and so.
It's my 4th or 3rd year doing it. I really like it. I love the chances because it's always new people. You're always meeting new people. And it's really interesting because the people you meet are either kids who are going to be coming into your school or kids who are going to like gun, and you get to give them like an insight in high school too. And last year, the year before this one was my favorite because the chances we got to go to community services in Redwood City where we got to like play soccer with kids or play basketball with like kids, and it was really fun to just like see the smiles on their face when they got to hear, oh yeah, they're coming over to play soccer with you guys, or we're gonna go take you guys out to go watch something. It's like, it's really heartwarming. And then this year, photography was really something I like really held on to because I got into photography like a month into the program, and now I'm doing it at Palo where I'm the photographer for the Campanile, and I'm really excited about that because the photos I take, people are really interested in. And I just love that aspect of being able to take a photo and say, this is mine, this is what I was able to do. And the point of the videos, I just like to use video because a photo says 1,000 words, but a video can say infinite. It expresses everything you're feeling, anything you're feeling, and I love to be able to put that out there and see that it's connecting with other people, that it's something that we found really important, connects with people who can see the same thing but don't have the voice to say it. So I thought that was really interesting about Digital Leaders Out. It gives you a voice and teaches you how to use it.
That's a wonderful endorsement. So Anna, is there anything else that you want to say about Digital Leaders and the
sure.
program?
This past summer, we had 10 interns, and Dami mentioned we select students that live in all of our 26 affordable housing units here in Palo Alto. And the main goal is for them to learn work experience. So it's an internship. They sign in a timesheet, everything. After the end of the 8 weeks, they get a stipend for their work. And so we also take them through different field trips. They went to Microsoft, Google, just different organizations for them to be exposed. And every year, every summer, we have a theme that we base our program. And last year we did immigration. And actually, Dami shared his own immigrant story. And this summer, we focused on youth voice and what TT was mentioning about youth in the media. And so, yeah, every year is different. We bring in new students, and we try to do different things, community service. Hopefully next summer, I'm working so that the internships could be more hands-on, so that they can actually go out in different organizations and have actual more since for them, they're returning, this is their 4th year, they have more skills. They can go out now and be at an organization and really take on their work experience to the next level. So I'm always thinking about different ways, different things to bring into the program, and we want to thank you for helping us and funding our program.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure, really, and I just can't thank you both enough for coming, showing us your wonderful film, and answering our questions. And yeah, I hope we'll have a chance to even show it to a larger audience at some point. And one last question: is your little sister going to go to Digital Leaders too, when she's old enough?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I hope so, but you have some big shoes to fill, because your brother and sister are very, very good at this. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just love that movie. Okay. I'm so glad you all had a chance to see it, and I'm glad to hear, too, that it's on YouTube, so if anyone wants to see it again. I'll follow up with Anna to make sure she sends us links, and our absent members can also review it online. And, yeah, Dion, too, because you missed it.
I just found it.
Okay, good.
So it's there, yeah.
Yeah, it's there. That's awesome. All right, good night, Anna. Thank you again so much. And thank you, Mary, for making all the technical preparations. I can't believe we finally showed a movie which didn't have a glitch. Yes. I knew someday we would pull this off. All right, so did anyone have any follow-up or final comments or anything on the movie? I just wanted to share that I thought this might be a good roundtable discussion if we decide to move forward with those, because I think it'd be a great starting point for a great community discussion.
For this affordable housing too.
Yeah, because it touches on many, many, many themes. And I really like that it's from a kid's perspective. That is really, really powerful. All right, so our next item is to follow up on the retreat work plans that we came up with. And we had put up some projects, and then we had people volunteer to lead those projects, and other people were going to be kind of helpers, I don't know what the word is, assist with those projects. And we wanted to go over that tonight and make sure everybody knows what they signed up for, and also talk about timelines, especially for events. It'd be nice if the HRC could start sponsoring events that would be held at semi-regular intervals throughout the year, so that we could start to get a little bit more traction in the community, and we're not overburdened with trying to cram a bunch of things in at the same time, but rather we've spread things out around the year. So I wanted to just kind of kick that off and look at the roles and responsibilities. So do we have that? We have a sheet here, right?
Yeah, I just took it from the minute.
Okay. Okay. So the first item were the civility roundtables that I just kind of alluded to. This is something, a concept that we may want to borrow from Mountain View's HRC, and they're in fact hosting one. I think it's November 6th.
Sounds familiar.
And 14th. Okay, so we all got an email around that. I think if you're available, it would be great to go to see what their civility roundtable looks like, and then maybe we can talk about how we might model ourselves on that concept and do something similar here in Palo Alto. I love the idea of bringing in a difficult topic and inviting people to have a really civil discourse around it. So that's something we don't do a lot in our community. We tend to get very contentious and polarized. So I know Commissioner Savage had offered to do a roundtable on a police-related theme. I think that the film we saw tonight would be another good theme. And did we have a third theme identified? Maybe the day worker movie? Yeah, and Steve Levy on the changing economics of Palo Alto. So we have some ideas here. And then I think we have people signed up to do the various ones. So I was going to lead the one, if we decide to move forward with the Digital Leaders film, then I would be leading that roundtable. Then Commissioner Savage would be leading the one on the police. And then was there a third one that had a lead? I thought there was a third one.
I don't recall, we might have to go back to the sheets, but that's, the two that you mentioned are the ones that I remember.
Okay. Yeah, so I was thinking
I
if,
think maybe it was a second person that said they'd work with Commissioner Savage on the police issues, but we might have to go to the sheets, because I don't think this reflects that.
oh, okay. Okay.
Is it in the minutes? Okay. We'll look at it again.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is figure out a time frame for the various events and projects that we're going to do, so that people have due dates and milestones and everybody can be working productively. And then if there is a problem or a challenge, raise your hand, ask for more help, and let's figure that out. Because I don't want to get to the end of the year and find out we had all these great ideas that we never took any action on. So I'd like to kind of get us from a state where we always have good ideas, but let's also figure out how to implement them. So another thing besides disability roundtables that came up was I had this idea after talking with some of our HISREP agencies and even non-HISREP agencies of doing what I call a senior summit. I think that we have a growing crisis with the delivery of senior services, and I think that the HRC may be able to play a facilitation type role in bringing agencies together, identifying issues, helping them to collaborate, and also perhaps identifying issues that we might want to go to the county with to see if we can get additional county funding for. So a first pass at that would be to kind of have an event, a forum where everybody would be invited, and to try to come up with a discrete handful of issues that we might be able to either facilitate or fundraise around. So Ray Bicchetti and I are going to work on that. And that would probably be something we would do next year, is what I'm imagining. Ray, as you know, has had some health issues, and so I'm not sure whether he'll really be up for co-hosting an event like this with me, and we may want to bring in another person. So if any of you are interested in senior issues. Oh, okay, so Dion's on the list, okay. Because this would involve wrangling a number of agencies, picking a date, coming up with an agenda and really making sure it's a productive either morning or afternoon for them, because they're not going to want to take time away from all the things that they're doing just to sit around and have a coffee klatch session with us, because we want it to be a really productive session that we get some data from that we can then go somewhere with. Okay, so and that kind of ties in with the Dosamidian item on the list here. As I mentioned at the retreat, Supervisor Simidian had told me that he would be happy to carry items for Palo Alto, but as an affluent community, we have to pick our issues judiciously so that he can approach the county with requests for funding. And if the county gives funding, we'll probably have to lobby the city council to match the funding here. So that's a new area for the HRC. It'll be a bit of an experiment to see if we can do that, but I think if we can identify some issues either from our HISREP agencies or the Senior Summit or things that are in the community that we're aware of that we want to, target for the year, let's do that. So that would probably be 2 or 3 issues at most that we might be able to get Joe's help with. So let's be aware of that. And then I want to do a follow-up on the Chinese Parents Club. So the last I heard that we were going to get a business plan, so where are we on that?
They have not turned that in, or it has not filtered down from the city manager's staff to me. So I will do a follow-up on that and then be able to schedule them to come. Or does Commissioner
To
Chen?
talk to Deborah, and she's my neighbor, so I could have a chance I could talk to her about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I think we're very interested in where that's going, but we needed that to be a little more formal. All right, and then there is a federal initiative in 25 cities to end homelessness among vets, and Commissioner Al-Hassani is taking the lead on that. He's not with us tonight, but I know he's been working on that actively, so we can get an update from him. His may be sort of an ongoing project, and I know, Commissioner Stone, you're working with him on that, too. So I think, again, we just want to start to put some dates down, get some timelines, and kind of see who's going to do what when, so that people will know where their areas of responsibility fall and what, when things need to get done, so that by the end of the year we have accomplished hopefully many of the things here on the list. So does anyone have any questions, comments?
well, Commissioner Alessani and I have been exchanging emails. We're going to meet in 2 weeks to really get going on the homeless veteran project.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great. And if you need support, help, I know Medi has been emailing me, Ray, Minka, with requests for contact information and, whatever. So if there's anything we can do to help, just definitely let us know.
I think one thing I really wanted to emphasize about this veteran homeless situation is a lot of veterans, they had PTSD. So I think one thing you may want to check with this VA hospital. They have very strong unit in terms of taking care of the problem, the mental problems. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. The VA is a great resource. Okay, so going back kind of to the top of the list now, do we have a calendar, a visual, a timeline, anything?
We've turned it in, we have one here for you just to look at, and we can send it electronically. I think this was an Excel version. We also have a Word version that we could send out for you to be able to break down your project from the name of the project to priorities, tasks, and milestones that you'd like to meet. And I think, Chair Onan, I think your hope was that people would do that for each of their projects and then be able to report back on a regular basis at
Yes.
HRC meetings where they are with these projects.
Right. I think though for right now, I kind of want to actually calendar some things. Like I want at least a month, or a couple of months time frame so that we'll know an event will be held like winter,
Okay.
that kind of thing, so that we have a sense of when things are going to be due, so that we have enough lead time to get these things done.
So that's really, so you're looking for the HRC just to say by that time that project will be due, or that's when it will be discussed in more detail at the HRC
No, we want to
meeting?
figure out when we're going to do these things.
Okay.
And then we're going to reverse
Okay.
engineer all the
So
other stuff.
if you let us know that, then we can, once we have something to start with, then staff will be able to create a master calendar, and that we'd be able to send in with the packet or send ahead of time with the packet, so to help people meet those milestones.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about some of the events that we might want to do. So we have at least 2 roundtables and a senior summit. I'm anticipating the senior summit would probably be early in 2015. Some of this depends on Ray, but I'm thinking that would probably be a January or February thing. Now, pulling together a roundtable by the end of the year might be a bit challenging because we're getting into the holidays and there isn't a lot of lead time, but I think we should all try to see the roundtable in Mountain View in November, and then let's figure out our own roundtable for maybe the first quarter of next year. So maybe February, March timeframe.
There's one thing I want to raise is the best time to outreach the Chinese population is on Chinese New Year's, and that is either since usually in February. So I don't want a lot of programs got stash up at the same time, same month.
Okay.
Just to put in that consideration.
And just as something you've probably already realized, Sharon, and if you're thinking of doing the senior summit in January, February, I mean, we need to start outreaching to those agencies right now to see what's looking good on their calendars, so that planning will have to take place in
That's what I mean.
November.
Yeah, that's why I want to calendar it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Okay. So roundtable, February, March, and then maybe another roundtable in the late spring or early summer, and then we'll be sort of toward the end of the year, getting into August. All right, so another roundtable. I'm going to put May. I'll put May, June.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now does that sound reasonable to people? Okay. All right, now for this, I don't know if this puts you on the spot, Greer, but for the Homeless Veterans Initiative, what kind of dates and milestones are you and Medi looking at? You're not there yet?
Yeah, too early to say.
Okay. Okay. So our sort of a year ends around August. That's kind of when we roll over, do our retreat, and set our new priorities. So just so you know, if this is an initiative you're taking for next year, you've got like from now until sort of next summer. So if you and Medi can talk about steps and milestones and then bring that back to us, then we'll put that on the calendar as well.
Perfect.
Okay? So I'm going to leave you in charge of that. All right. And then I think with Joe's office and the Palo Alto Chinese Parents Club, those are things that are sort of contingent on other events happening, right? We need to get the business plan from the Parents Club, and with Joe, we need to identify some issues, which we'll be doing hopefully at the Senior Summit and in the course of our HISRAP review. All right. So, Commissioner Savage, if I end up leading the first roundtable, which might be based on the film we saw tonight, and we do that sort of early next year, then would you be on board to do the second roundtable, or would you rather do the first roundtable on the police?
I'd rather do the second. I have a couple other events I'm working on. So April is reasonable.
Okay. Okay. So I'll put April, May, June, that time frame must be yours, and then we'll identify that maybe next year.
I'm confused. So the roundtable number 1, more or less March, was the one you were,
Well, I was thinking February, March,
February, March, and that one would be the one that's on.
the film we saw tonight.
And then you said a second one, approximately, I thought July, but is that?
No. I was thinking May, June. Commissioner Savage said April. So April, May, June, late spring, early summer, somewhere in there.
So the second one would be the
Police.
police.
Yeah. So that's the one you and Commissioner Savage would be working on. So we get the first one done, and then, so far as my first one ends up being in March, then April would probably be too soon. You'd probably have to roll it out a couple months. That's what I'm saying. We want to kind of spread these out a little bit more. But if the Senior Summit for some reason has to be delayed, maybe we'll do the roundtable earlier in the year and then do the Senior Summit later. You know, I'll have to kind of figure out what we're doing there. So it looks like I'm on board for 2 events earlier in the year, and then you guys would be on board for an event like in the spring time frame. And Greer and Medi then would be on board for milestoning their project. But you don't have one impending date like the rest of us have, because we have an impending date where something will be shown or discussed in public, so that'll be a date you have to work toward. Okay, so we got that. And then, so I'll probably firm up my dates soon, and then once my dates are firm, we can firm up your dates. And then you guys are gonna have to kind of figure out your own dates, but we can help you. Okay, so that's good. Joe's office, I think, is gonna need us to get back to him before the budget cycle. So how
Right.
early do we need to go to the county?
The county, I believe, is on the same fiscal year as the city, so, and we start talking about budget in February, March, April, but our budget hearings, usually start in May. So if we're wanting to get to him, there's a couple options. I mean, there's budgeted money that is just in the county budget, and then Supervisor Smitty has money for his office that he can offer to, organizations as well. So I'm not sure if you got that clarity from him. Was it county money or was it money from his office?
He wasn't clear. He did mention different buckets of money, but
because the money from his office, sometimes it's best to go later in the year, because then it's like, oh, I haven't spent enough money. I still have money in this. That's a good project for you, but you might come to him with a couple of things, and he said, well, I'll be willing to go forward to the county with this project. That one, let's wait till the end of the year, and I might have something for you. I can't speak for him, but I think the sooner the better is really what he said. So I think.
So if we do the Senior Summit in January timeframe, and we get some feedback from that and some data from that, then will that give us enough time to get to Joe's office?
I would think so.
Okay. That's because that's my main concern, is I don't want to be late to the party.
And perhaps it's a good thing to have another conversation with Hema.
Yeah.
Or Hema.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll follow up with her.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's see, where else are we? Okay, so we have a rough time frame. Now, if anyone would like to volunteer to lead a third roundtable, I think we've got some great ideas here, and I'd love to do 3 in the year if we could. Maybe in this next summer, like maybe if we have one in the spring, and then maybe we could do one follow-on one in the summer before we break for our retreats.
I can do that.
Okay, so is there a topic, or do you want to think about a topic? There's some.
One in here.
So which one?
Worker in the immigration issue.
We saw a snippet of that film here a while back.
I think I can do that.
Okay, all right. So we'll put you on for summer of 2015. Okay. so third roundtable would be summer. Okay, and we can do outreach to the day worker center on that. I think we'll know more once we've seen the Mountain View version. I think that'll give us some real insight.
What was it, November 14th?
Is it November 14th? I know it's November.
That's a Friday night, so I doubt it, so I'd have to go look back.
Yeah, I have it on my
I know I sent
calendar.
it out, and Mary
So,
has.
wait, so here I have, I think this is what you're referring to, correct?
It's
That's
December
It's
6th.
November 6th.
Is this November 6th?
Okay, November
At the
6th.
senior center, the topic,
It's in my here.
So is affordable housing?
affordable housing.
Yeah, so that's a fascinating topic, and I really think we should try to look at their civility roundtable format. And
6 to 8:30.
this is something that Mountain View HRC has been doing very successfully for a few years now, and so I think we could really learn from our colleagues. And something I think Palo Alto could really use is some civil discourse. So if anyone needs a reminder on that, let me know, and I can forward you the email again. But we should all have gotten it. Yeah, can we send the email again?
We certainly can.
All right, yeah. And I really think this is a good thing. And even if you're not leading a roundtable this year, you may lead one in the future, so, this might be a good thing to see. All righty, so we got kind of a rough calendar, and I'll work with staff to kind of finalize some stuff. And let's go through and make sure everybody's cool with their assignments. So I'm leading the first roundtable. Commissioner Savage is leading the second. Commissioner Chen is leading the third. Commissioner Al-Hassani's got the Homeless Vets Project with Commissioner Stone assisting. Okay, so the Raising Awareness Project, so Commissioner Moore, and that's something you had wanted to do, but I don't think you had a specific event or anything. You had just wanted to have us put that down. Okay. If you have a specific project, let us know. Okay, the Senior Summit will be probably you and I, Commissioner Moore, and because I don't know when Commissioner Bicchetti is going to be well enough to rejoin us. Outreach to the immigrant community, that's something also that Commissioner Chen is leading, right? Yeah. And Commissioner Moore, you're assisting with that.
Right.
Okay. The housing study, we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's table that. And then, and then we've talked about the whole approaching the county thing already, so that'll be something that'll be sort of ongoing. And I think Medi is going to assist me with that once we've got to identify some issues and solutions, though, first. Okay. Now let's take a look at our liaison roles. So Commissioner Savage is going to continue being our liaison to the police, and Commissioner Stone and Moore are going to join her on that.
Right, we'll have a meeting set up with the chief soon.
Okay.
Next week.
Move to the week after, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you guys can let us know about, I heard that they were resurrecting the Citizens Academy.
Yeah.
And if they are, let us know, because I would love to attend that if it's available. And also at our recognition event in Foothills Park, I got an offer from one of the firefighters to do a ride-along. So I've already done one with the police. That was very interesting. But if anyone wants to do a firefighter ride-along, where you get to be a first responder, then they're very open to having us do that. So, yeah. And you get to hear the siren and eat chili and hang out in the firehouse. So that might be very interesting. Okay, and then for Project Safety Net, Commissioner Stone, you're continuing on with that. And Palo Alto Mediation Program, Commissioners Al-Hassani and Stone are doing that. And I got some great feedback from Medi that he really enjoyed his first meeting at PAMP. He liked the workshop format that they have there. So I think they're off to a good start. And they have a meeting coming up.
Yeah, next week from tonight.
Okay. All right, so did anyone have any questions, comments, concerns about their role, the events that are coming up, who's doing what? We're all pretty much on the same page. Okay, so we will be formalizing this over the next few months, and we'll be checking in and moving projects forward.
I'm going to connect it with the Chinese Parents Club. Yeah, Deborah was talking about I could do a liaison with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that the ball's sort of in their court if they haven't submitted their proposal yet.
I think everybody's on vacation, something like that.
But if they have submitted it and it's held up at,
Right.
Then
I will double check
on
on
that.
that.
Can I ask, I'm interested in the PAMF as well. Is there a limit to how many liaisons they can be with PAMF?
You mean PAMP?
Palo Alto Mediation Board.
No, I don't think there's a limit.
I don't think there's a limit. I would just be concerned if there's too many of you there that it's disruptive in any way. I'm not sure. You know, I've not been to any of their meetings to see the format, that it seems like they're really being watched, or, you know, I would go to a point that I would ask the commissioners that have been assigned to see, you know, if they've reached the critical mass.
Good point.
All righty, so I think we're good on roles and responsibilities. I think we're all clear on what we're going to be doing, and then we'll just formalize it and then keep checking in on that. All right, so we're ready to move on to the next item? Okay, I feel like I'm just talking nonstop, but oh well, I drank a lot of caffeine today, so that's good. So our next item is a little bit tricky because Ray is not able to be here tonight. So as you know, we had an affordable housing learning series going on for some time, over a year. We had numerous speakers, and out of that, Commissioners Bicchetti and Chen had been writing a report on affordable housing. And the question has come up is what to do with all this information and the report. So I know that Commissioner Bicchetti does not want it to disappear into a black hole of documentation and paperwork. I think he was really hoping it would be a catalyst to help affect some positive change in the community. And we are at an interesting point in history for Palo Alto because we're updating the comp plan and we're updating the housing element specifically. So this is a chance to possibly influence the city's housing policy direction for maybe the next 15 years. And it's a chance that, you know, we really don't want to let pass by. But the question remains what to do with the report and how to approach city council, you know, and how to make it, you know, a living document that has some impact on the community. So an idea floating around, or that Ray had floated specifically, was to approach, I guess, the Planning and Transportation Commission to see whether the HRC might pair up with them and form a kind of blue ribbon commission to look at the whole issue of affordable housing and really advise the council and staff and hopefully have an impact on the comp plan. I really think that's a wonderful idea. I think the commissions tend to be a little bit siloed here in Palo Alto, and there might be a really good place for the HRC to work with the Planning and Transportation Commission, and I think we've got some value add to bring. So I'm not sure, again, how much Ray will be able to drive that or where we're going, and unfortunately the clock is ticking because the housing element, I believe, is due in January. Yeah, it's on an accelerated schedule. So a draft of the report is done, and I think what we're going to need to do is all of us are going to need to review it, and then at our next HRC meeting, we're going to need to come up with a plan for what we think is the best disposition.
And we have it available at places
Right.
tonight,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I have a few words to say.
Yeah, and Commissioner Chen has been collaborating with Commissioner Bicchetti, and definitely I was just going to turn it over to you.
Right. So, well, it has been a challenging task to work on this project. And Ray had been working very, very hard, trying to write up the report, and I helped in terms of doing research, get numbers straight, and try to do some feedback, and then help him write and finalize the report. And the data, there's so much data, it's all over. So there are places, the major website which I use is U.S. Census Bureau's website. And very useful. It's not totally up to date, but like the most recent data that I have here, you know, right, it's 13 here in Palo Alto population, which is pretty good. But other places like the job situation is 2011. So it's not real up to date, but it provides us a very good background.
Which one? Can you repeat which one?
Oh, yeah, the Census Bureau.
Census Bureau.
Yeah. Oh, it's all in here. I didn't make a copy of
All in
it.
here?
I think I should put website. I put website in there. I don't know whether Ray put it in his or not, but I can provide it to you if you need to look at it. Okay. I had this piece of information. It's very only 1 page, 1.5 page. It gives you a glimpse of what's going on in Palo Alto. It has people, quick facts, and all about people, population, and then different ethnic backgrounds, and education and business, everything. It's right in here. So I'm going to pass this around. Take a look. You can just take a look. It's easy. And you can get it from computer. It's really it's 1 page. the front page in the census. And the other thing, Ray had worked very hard on that. What, in my point of view, I had paid more emphasis on this business professional status of the city, because we know Palo Alto is a hub for high-tech companies. You know, there are so many things going on here. And in my research, I found out the jobs in Palo Alto, every job, the primary jobs in Palo Alto, the number is close to 90,000. But only 8.5% of the 90,000 jobs, they are held by people who live in Palo Alto. And Ray didn't agree with me, but I do have this one black and white, one color. You take a look. Inflow, outflow, all this information right here. Okay. You know, see this, let me just go over this. Employed in the section area. The section is City of Palo Alto. It's right here. This one is the 87,061 jobs. And then employed in the select area but living outside, which is 79,000, so which is like 90% more. And then employed in the area and also live in the area is only like 7,200.
Does that include Stanford?
No, it's City of Palo Alto. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. I didn't ask specifically. It doesn't have it. It's Palo Alto City boundary. Maybe it's included Stanford. The boundary right here. I should check the boundary first. And unfortunately, that doesn't print out the whole picture. You can see it. I can show you how to get to. It's a little tricky to get to the map and do it. But anyway, so when you calculate percentage, only 8.4% of people live in the city, also work in the city. So most people are coming outside. So this is not and the total number of people resident in Palo Alto employed has a primary job, 16 years or older, which is 31,000. But most of them, they took the job outside the city. And they are making a lot of money, some of them. Let me show you what the median income level of the people who live in Palo Alto, even though they work outside. The job is a 15,000 jobs. They make more than 92K annual salary, and it composes about 53% of the jobs, which is more than half. 50% of jobs make a lot of money, and then the low income level here, it's the lowest, the middle class in here. Low income, less than 10K is 0.2%. Who could live in Palo Alto? There's no place for them to live. And then 15 to 30K is only 5.5%. All right, and the middle class, like 30 to 50K, like 30%. So most people who live in Palo Alto, work outside, whatever, they make a lot of money. Okay, here we go. And then also the median income, which I just disagree with this report. Anyway, Ray put down that Santa Clara, the median income is 100,000. But here in Palo Alto, there are two sources. Census Bureau is 122,000 in Palo Alto, more. And then for the San Francisco Gate local newspaper, they published in 2012, 163,000 is the median income for people who live in Palo Alto. Incredible, incredible. So if you use that number, I don't know how we can calculate.
Is that household or?
Household. And which is, I got it from the website, okay? So the situation, we conclude the city is too expensive for people to live in. Only as I said, we saw the video earlier today, it's the upper middle class, upper middle class, they can live in the city and be able to live here. So we have a problem here. So how do you solve the problem? Because people live here, work here, they cannot live here. What do? They have to drive the car here. So increase pollution, increase traffic. And then to solve the problem, number one, we have to have people work here and live here in the same city so we can bike to work or walk to work, ideally. But it doesn't happen here.
Yeah, I will have to say I definitely agree with a lot of what Commissioner Chen is saying. I'm always very impressed at how hard Palo Alto works to be a reduced carbon footprint city and all the efforts to recycle, and then to make people commute an hour or two each way to work to get here. kind of just blows that whole thing out of the water, really adding a lot to traffic and pollution when we make people live so far away and then commute into the city. So it's definitely an issue that's very contentious and something that we're going to kick over a hornet's nest, I'm sure, but we should probably weigh in at some point. And I'll be curious to see at the Mountain View Roundtable how they handle this issue, because it's contentious in Mountain View as well. They're just right behind us. Minka's nodding because she's a Palo Alto a Mountain View resident, so she knows. All right, well, thank you, Commissioner Chen. So anyway, we all have a draft of the report, so please, let's all review and think about its disposition for next time, because we have a chance to possibly move policy in a different direction, and I think this is something HRC should definitely do.
Yeah. Well, the problem for us is to propose something concrete, what to do, and we really don't have any, because it's so complex. There's a very good idea that Ray had raised to collaborate with
Planning and transportation, yeah.
Planning, and a lot of things we cannot do. We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But I think we should solve economic problem first, and then housing problem will come together.
Yes, we'll solve all the problems. That's what we should do. All right, well, thank you very much. All right, so, and I appreciate all your patience and forbearance in reviewing this still draft version of the report and helping to get this going in a direction for next time. All right, so now let's move on to our next item, which is planning for our upcoming study session with the City Council. So this is very important. We only really get the council once a year, and I think one year they even skipped us, so sometimes it's not even once a year, so we really can't blow this opportunity. I'm struggling a bit because an election is coming up, and I'm not sure how things are going to change. So I would welcome input from my fellow commissioners on things that we want to go to the council with and things that we might want to wait until they are reconstituted in the new year and approach them with.
What's the date of that?
November 17th?
So we'll know the election will be over already, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like us to resend out the date?
I think I got it.
Okay.
From what time to what time? Same time?
It's a study session, so it will be before the council meeting, so it'll be 6 p.m. in this room.
Aha, look at that.
Mm-hmm. So ideas on how to handle this is a little bit tricky. We wait till after the election and then quickly put a PowerPoint together, or what do we do?
I think that's probably the smartest play, or at least have.
Yeah, I mean, with 5 positions up for grabs,
Yeah.
That's more than half the council. Can we get a date? Can we move that date till January or February or March, or not?
I can try. I pushed it back as far as I could at that point because they wanted us to go, I think, July, August. And I knew we wouldn't have the work plans, so I pushed for a later date. I can check.
I think that would be the best.
Okay.
And if not, then we'll worry about it.
I actually like that idea, Minka. I hate to put you on the spot of having to push out the date again, but if we could talk to the sort of the new reconstituted city council, I just feel like we might sort of waste our breath if a huge number of people are different next time.
I'll try.
All right. Well, that was a quick item then. We'll see what can happen. If we do move forward with the November date, then we'll have to talk about what to
Right,
do.
and you have the ability because you have the meeting on the 13th, but that's going to be a pretty quick turnaround for a PowerPoint. But
Well, Teresa's
and-
always at PowerPoint,
right.
so we'll just have her do it.
actually, I'll have to check because if the PowerPoint is required to be in their packets are due that Thursday before. So we'll have to see.
So Wednesday, November?
The date is November 17th. Our next meeting is November 13th. So it might be that we just put a PowerPoint and we show it and we give a hard copy at places.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to try not to worry in the meantime and put our fate in Minka's hands.
I think accidentally I missed it last year, so remind me, at the study session, like you already know that there would probably be a PowerPoint. Can you give me a big view or a review of what's?
I'm trying to remember. I think last year we just the HRC just did a PowerPoint and they said, you know, these were our goals, this is what we accomplished, this is what we're working on for next year, these are some questions that we, you know, we have for you. And I think last time the HRC brought forward some questions of relevancy or asked for the council's input on where they'd like to see the HRC more involved. And I think there was also a plea for inclusion on major social issues.
And we don't have to do a PowerPoint if there's a stumbling block. Because very often the council asks questions that we just had no idea about. So we don't want to, just, limit them to what the PowerPoint is. So, again, so a PowerPoint is nice, but not essential.
Well, this year is an interesting year because we got quite a bit of data from the supplemental needs assessment, which we haven't shared yet with council, which is another reason I kind of want to talk to the reconstituted council, because I want to educate new people on the council about HISRAP and CDBG and things that we've been working on. And if we end up with some items for Joe Simidian to carry and we need to go back to the city for matching funds, I want the council up to speed on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and why these requests are coming in, as we have a better chance then of them being educated and understanding and being willing to fund those requests. So there's a whole, process of sort of getting everybody on the same page around identifying some of these issues and solutions.
What might need to happen if I do need to provide a little bit more information in a short staff report ahead of time, the commission might have to give permission to give the chair and the vice chair the ability to create a short summary to include in a staff report ahead of time. So you might want to vote on that or give your consent to the chair and the vice chair just to do that.
Okay. All right. So let's all just cross our fingers and hope that we get this figured out.
So do we have time to do that beforehand, or are we going to move on that now?
If you feel like you need to take formal action to give the chair or the vice chair the authority just to create the draft agenda without you, you need to agree to that tonight, because then we would meet in the end of November at our regular agenda planning, and they would do so. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, at the end of October.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, because my concern is, our next meeting.
Yeah, it's too close. All right, well, I'll have to recuse myself because I am the chair and Ray's not here. So you guys need to figure out if you want to entrust me and possibly Ray in doing that.
I move that we do just that.
And I second that.
Oh, you do.
That is that we give the chair and the vice chair the authority to summarize without our input what they need to summarize for the study session.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, yay! Okay. All right, it's a good thing I'm not a power mad chair, but thank you very much for your vote of confidence. I'm sure we'll figure it out. All right, I'm sure we'll figure something out, but it may be a last dash to the finish line with that. All right, so thank you all so much for your flexibility. Okay, so we'll see what happens, and I'll be in touch with staff on that. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is very exciting and interesting. And Minka, I know I'm on the agenda, but do you want to explain a little bit better than me what you're looking for from the commissioners?
Sure, I'm looking for a commissioner to work with Mary and I on the HISRAP application, and just looking at revamping, not revamping it, that would be, but revising just some of the review criteria. So it's not the layout, it's not the general qualifications that really our purchasing department and staff set up, but it's more issues, some more periphery issues of eligibility criteria or review criteria. Last time we had questions of, should we only pay a certain percentage of someone's salary? We kind of have, well, the city shouldn't be the major source of funding for that, but there's some more specific things that I think we need to look at for this time, look at some of the comments that the review team had from last time, how they thought they wanted to improve it.
So I wanted to just also make sure that we explain very clearly that this is not the getting of the HISRAP applications and reviewing and making funding recommendations, allocation. This is not that process. This is sort of a precursor process where we're looking at the application itself and saying, you know, are these questions relevant? Do we need to change the wording on some things? Do we need to make things clearer? There's too many redundancies. We had feedback from the agencies a while ago that the application was way too long, way too redundant, and it was too purchasing oriented. So
But
Claude,
yes.
Commissioner Ezrin, who's since left us, but he and, did someone else also do that? It was just Claude.
Commissioner Savage reviewed it.
I did?
You did. You emailed me comments.
Were they good?
I remember
Sure, they're
that.
brilliant.
Isn't it, I don't remember that.
You did. You weren't able to attend the meeting, but you emailed me comments after you had reviewed the application. So I remember it was Commissioner Savage,
And
Commissioner
Ezrin.
Ezrin, and if there was a third.
This was a couple of years back. This was the last funding.
Okay.
At any rate, the application got streamlined, and we got some very good feedback from the agencies that they
Right.
liked and appreciated the change, you know, because a big, long, cumbersome application that takes a long time to fill out is not great for a nonprofit. So we've already helped with that. So this is just a continuing refining step. So if there's someone or someones who would be willing to do that, so this is looking at the request for proposal itself before it goes out to the agencies.
What's the timetable on doing it?
The timetable is in the next month.
Okay, I will not be able.
Yeah, I know Commissioner Bicchetti expressed interest when we talked about this at agenda planning.
And I
So-
was wondering, I mean, of course, one can always select somebody who's not here. Like, I was wondering if Commissioner Almassani, Mehdi, if he might be interested. Because he has skills, I think, in that area. I mean, I think of editorial skills.
It's not so much editorial skills. It's really looking at, you know, what is reasonable and not reasonable for allowances of funding. Should we fund, it's more looking at some of those fine-tuned things, not some of the general questions like, should we ask this question or should we ask that question? That's not what we're looking for. It's really the selection criteria. So we have a very clear form of what we will accept, what we won't accept. What is, sorry.
Bless you.
All right, so how about then, we have Ray as our primary, and if he's able and willing, and Commissioner Chen can also, okay.
Okay.
And then if for some reason, if Ray's not feeling well enough to move forward with that, let me know, and then maybe we can round up
Right.
another person.
And I'm a little indecisive because we've been working on so many other requests for proposals in our office that I have not made my workload round to look at it and to look at the notes from last time to say, yes, these are the top 10 things we wanted to improve. But I know we wanted to look at allowable, you know, what is allowable funding and so forth.
Okay. All right, that's great. All right, so we'll stay in touch with staff on that. There's a lot of contingencies tonight. We're having to live with a certain amount of uncertainty because we're not sure who's available when, but I think we'll sort it all out as we move forward. And thank you, Commissioner Chen, for volunteering to be a second pair of eyes on that. Yeah, it's good to be fresh, because I know when I actually was part of the process that looked at the proposals when they came back, and I felt like there were some questions that prompted redundant replies, and I felt that things were longer than they needed to be. And I don't know if that was the question or the agencies, but those are the types of things that we'd love to streamline more and make it easier on them and easier on the people who review.
Right, and sometimes the unfortunate thing is we might think they're redundant, but there is some reason in some purchasing manual that we have to ask it a certain way. But I think having, you know, definitely fresh eyes that say, why did you do that? And for us to be able to push back and hear if the question is needed or if it's valuable.
Okay. All right, so thank you very much for that. All right, so we're moving to the end now. We have reports from officials. Are there any commissioners who have reports? You met with?
I have a report.
All right, Commissioner Moran?
I'm looking for my book, which, of course, I left it in the car. I met with the county HRC for specific events or outside events about a month ago in San Jose, and I just communicated with them again. And they are interested, as I was mentioning before, very interested in having movies and social justice movies, and to have a theme, and possibly, I think it's 3 movies is what they were looking at. So they were looking at us in terms of how we could co-sponsor with them. It's publicity, distribution, funding, things of that nature. So I'm going to contact them again on October 14th, I think it is, shortly, in any case. And so I'd like to agendize that issue. I think that's the way to go, which is to put this on for our next meeting after I get more information, exactly how we might be able to help them. We know that we can help them with in kind by offering some place where we can show a movie, but to try to go through all the different details in terms of attracting as many people as possible. And that could depending on how much sway I have with them, it could also perhaps correlate with some of these other issues we're talking about right now, like the round tables or something like that nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the films are short enough, they might lend themselves to a great roundtable discussion, but if it's a 2-hour thing, then it'd be more like a film screening with a Q&A afterward, I think.
Right.
Yeah, and to have clarity, of what they expect from us, because they might just want to say, hey, this is the North Counties, and it becomes a whole big event for us. And if it's, something simple like providing a space and so forth, we can do that.
Okay, great.
I can say that when I spoke to them, that's why, I will get more clarity, but they've had some experience with this. They already have, last year they had a topic on, I think it was on working in minorities, basically, the day worker concept. So this year they're going to have another one. So I can get more information.
Okay, that would be great. All right, so do we have a note to put that on the agenda for next time?
We do.
Okay, great. All right, any other commissioner reports? Commissioner Stone?
I'll make it brief.
Oh, you know what? You can have your microphone.
Yeah, I attended earlier this morning Project Safety Net's first collaborative meeting of the school year, and things seem to be going well. I know the director of the program stepped down a few weeks ago, and so right now, sort of in the process of figuring out what's the next step, if they're going to look for another director, if they're going to decide to move in a different direction. So that's sort of up in the air right now. And it seems to be, again, as it seems to have been over the past year, kind of continuing to figure out Project Safety Net's sort of leadership roles and how to move forward. But so far, things are looking good.
But I have 2 questions about that. How many people showed up?
I said about 20, right?
It was about 20. It was actually a special meeting. It really wasn't the normal time, because with the director unexpectedly resigning, it kind of put us in a kind of a hard spot. Because
Without a director, who led the meeting?
I did.
Oh.
So the leadership committee, there is a leadership committee of Project Safety Net. So each of the leadership committee led the meeting, of which I'm one member. But in lieu, my answer was really more in lieu of having a program director who is, overseeing the efforts of Project Safety Net, and that would be Human Services. So, but we are, I think the urgency is that the staff has been asked to give an update on Project Safety Net to Policy and Services Committee on October 21st. So we really felt the need to take some of the thinking of next steps from the leadership committee and taking them to the general meeting before we went to council.
So do you have enough now to go to Policy and Services with a summary?
We have really, it's a, you know, a staff update of what's been happening and a report of the leadership void at this point and some ideas that staff and the leadership committee have. And just to say that the issue was raised at this meeting today and to give some general feedback from it. The intention to today's Project Safety Net meeting was not to be a, you know, this is the issue, give us what you think, and then it's over. It was really the beginning of a discussion, and we'll characterize it as such at the council meeting as well.
Oh, okay. So are there any other commissioner reports?
I went to this Santa Clara County.
Oh, wait, make sure you're speaking into your microphone.
Oh, yeah. Regional Forum. I think Minka was there too. And then they talk about affordable housing, homelessness, and community improvement needs. It's very interesting. They have this contractor, I think she's from Berkeley. She make a beautiful slide. She did a wonderful job about the data around the area, about, you know, what city, how does the money spent on CDBG money spent on different areas of improvement. And every city is different from the other. You know, it's kind of amazing, you know, how different they are. But she said the slides are going to be on the website. I don't know which website she's talking about. Maybe the city website? I haven't checked. So, but there's a good set of references for us to have. But the way the meeting was conducted, it's very interesting. They have posters, like 5 stations of posters under big titles, and then they give, okay, if you have $100 or $200, in this area you can spend 40, the other area 50, and then how you're gonna and under the subcategories you can just put money in this envelope, and they gave them an idea where to spend the money under what category. So I think that was interesting. Yeah, and then we had discussion at the end too. Yeah, Consuelo was there, and also Mila from Envision was there too.
Oh.
So what is, you said it was going to be on a website?
Yeah, she said it's going to be the website. I think,
You know,
I suppose the city website. Maybe it's on the county website. So let's check.
And I wanted to give a short report as well. So there were sneak peeks of the new Mitchell Park Community Center and Library, and I attended and was greeted by our own wonderful Amy, one of our former staff members. It was wonderful to see her there. I was so impressed with the new community center. There's great meeting spaces. There's a teen space. There's a young child space. And I mean, I know we ran massively over budget and are way off our normal timetable on getting that thing done, but it is beautiful, and the new library is also beautiful. So I think that's going to be a great space. And an issue that is on my mind, though, is that I'm worried about accessibility for some of the teens, such as the teens we met tonight, who don't have a way to access these great new resources that the city's opening up. And there's no real conversation happening with some of the programs like Stepping Stones and Dream Catchers to make sure that those kids can also get over to the new library and use the new computers. And we want to make sure that we're also excited as a community that we have this new resource, but you know, as the HRC, one of our tasks is to make sure everyone has access to it. So we need to keep our eye on the ball that people aren't getting left out with that. But it is wonderful, and I hope that between shuttles, bikes, walking, parents, buses, and everything else, that people who want to get there can get there.
When does it officially open?
December 6th, I believe.
That's correct. The opening day is December 6th, but they're both, the library and the community center will have soft openings, like probably end October, early November.
Because as a community center, the old Mitchell, Mitchell Park Library was the place for classes, but teenagers too. That was one of them, at least.
Well, what was happening, at least in my impression of it, because I live in that neighborhood and I used to go to Mitchell Park Library a lot, was that there were a lot of kids who were from probably the middle class and lower middle class families that we heard about in the film tonight, whose parents worked but wanted them to do their homework. So they were coming to the library after school, but they were sort of unsupervised. And things at Mitchell Park used to get a little out of control with, young kids with no parents, trying to do homework. And librarians were sort of having to be babysitters, mentors, therapists, homework helpers. So I think in redesigning the library, they took that need into account, and they make a dedicated teen space, and they're going to have dedicated staff people So these poor reference librarians are not trying to do their job plus childcare at the same time. So I think it's a wonderful idea, and we'll see how everything evolves and works out. But the kids that need that library so desperately, we want to make sure that they can get there and that they do have access, because there's wonderful computers and resources there for them if they can get there. I think it's just going to be great. And I really love that there were meeting spaces too, because I know in the past when I've tried to arrange for meetings, it's really hard to find space in Palo Alto just to have, a business association or a nonprofit meet unless you're going through the city. And now these rooms are going to be available for very modest rentals, which is wonderful, because I think we needed that in Palo Alto too. So I was very impressed. And I had a blast at the concert afterward, and you should see our city manager pretending to be John Lennon. It was very fun. So I'll just say that. All right, so we don't have our mayor here to give her liaison report, but do we have a staff liaison report?
I don't really, other than to let you know that next month we will not be in this location. We'll be across the street at the downtown library, as this room will be used for another purpose. So you will hear more from us on that. That's going to be a little awkward because there's going to be a meeting that's ending like at 7 and we start at 7. So we're going to just try to be good stewards and neighbors of that meeting afterwards. The other thing that we do have is the HISRP site visit. You wanted to talk about that?
Oh, that's right. That's
Chair
right.
Nance, so we brought the listing of who signed up last time, and if people actually did go, then we're looking at 3 agencies, Abilities United, Momentum, and Peninsula Healthcare Connections, that didn't get any visitors today. I think you have a blank sheet that people could start signing up, but
Okay.
I know you wanted to start with the agencies, but maybe we can just do a little checking. I know
We don't
that
have
there
any-
were visits to,
Oh, I see, okay.
I know that, I remember folks visiting ACS last time. I know Chac, some people went to the outlet. I remember you went, Commissioner Chen,
Can I say that?
to the outlet, Chac, Community Health Awareness
Yeah,
Council?
you gave a report on it, yeah.
Right. Community Technology Alliance, did you go, Commissioner Moore, or not? Your name was on the list.
I got distracted here. Did I go to?
Did you go on your site visits to Community Technology Alliance
Yes, I
last year?
did.
Okay, great. Downtown Streets team, Greer? You did. Okay, Dream Catchers, I think there was a group of 3.
I recall someone was talking about it.
Okay.
I thought it was-
Envision, I think a whole group went to an
Yeah.
Envision event.
Mhm.
La Comida, Commissioner Moore, and your name was on there.
I went there.
Okay. Mayview, I know Commissioner Chair
I
Onan
went a
went to
couple of
Mayview.
years ago, and someone else, I
Okay.
think Greer, you went last
Yeah.
time.
And then Palo Alto Housing
I
Corp.
went to maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, at this point, we can go doubles, but what I just want to make sure of is Abilities United, Momentum, and Peninsula Healthcare Connections did not have anybody sign up during the last round. And my goal was that we'd get to everybody before we would start to go to new places. If you forget where you went last time, here's the list.
Okay. All right.
Sure, why not? Just for fun.
Okay.
Is it copy? Oh, yeah. Oh, everyone has a copy?
So someone has been to Dreamcatchers?
I remember somebody talking about it.
They signed up for it, so.
But who, did they go?
I didn't.
See?
Claude, Greer, and you. Did any of you go?
No, I haven't been to Dreamcatchers. We didn't go.
And you didn't go either, Greer?
I don't think so.
All right, so then someone needs to go to Dreamcatchers.
Sounds good. So then there's 4.
Okay, so can you, okay, so also this.
Someone got my list,
so
so
the
I
list is
think it
kinda-
was Momentum, Abilities United, Peninsula Healthcare Connections, and Dreamcatchers.
Okay, so we need to get rid of Avenidas and PAC then, right? This thing is,
That's right.
okay.
And Sala.
Did anybody?
I wasn't able to connect
Okay,
with
then we
Sala.
need to add Sala to that.
Okay.
So then we have 5.
Okay. All right, here, why don't I star the ones that we need people to go to? Okay, so that would be Momentum, Peninsula Healthcare Connection, Dreamcatchers, and Sala.
Put me down on Dreamcatchers.
Okay, so it's those four.
There were 5.
Okay, what's the fifth one?
And you know-
Abilities United.
And can I say, Youth Community Service, it says, Greer and I, Commissioner Stone and I went, or we're going to go. But I don't.
To which one?
Youth Community Service.
Thought we.
Somebody did, right? I couldn't, I think I couldn't.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Leaf.
Okay.
All right, so we need to, if you sign up, you then try to make this a commitment that you're going to go, but don't, if you can only make 1 or 2, that's fine, but we
I
gotta
couldn't-
make sure we don't disappoint the agencies.
And what was helpful last time is someone identified themselves as a
The lead.
lead to contact their other commissioners so that only one person is.
Yeah.
And once we have that, we will send out little groups of emails to the duos or the trios with the contact person for the
Okay,
agency.
Okay.
You know, and can I ask, so Kara is missing from this because they didn't get any.
Yeah, they're not a HISRAP fundee.
But you know, at what point do they become, like, is that when they apply? So for example,
When they are accepted for funding, they applied the last 2 cycles and were not recommended for funding. So we will not go visit them until,
okay,
until,
got it.
yeah.
But are we trying to visit them every year? I mean, these organizations every year, or?
I don't think so. I think we just wanted
So
to
just
make
the
sure we
4
got through the cycle of the people we hadn't visited. So now looks like we're at 5 or 6 if YCS wasn't visited in the last cycle, just so we
Because
get to
like-
everyone.
Yeah, because like Mayview's had a bunch of visitors multiple times, and Envision's had visitors multiple times. But, so it's important to see some of the smaller agencies, and also some of our new agencies. So we really get to know them. I think it really helps when we're advocating for them with council, and when we're looking at their proposals. I think if we really understand them better and we've been there and see what they do. It's hard to get to know an agency on paper. So I've signed up to be the lead on 2, and Teresa, I'm going to follow you on to Momentum when you make the arrangement. Okay?
So the one that's left, I forgot Dreamcatchers is,
They're a new agency that tutors middle school
middle
children.
school, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure Barbara Klausner, who's their new executive director, would really be thrilled to have some of the commissioners come and learn more about what they do. They're sort of still in a little bit of a startup mode, but they actually have space now, and they're getting a little more professional in kind of the way that they were almost like a volunteer organization, and now become that with their county grant that they got, they're kind of professionalizing.
So, let's see, you
Is
are
that a
the
word? I
lead
don't
on
know.
that, right? Are we saving some spaces for our other commissioners? Because otherwise, I said I would do it last year, can do it again this year. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Follow
Mhm.
through, it's called follow through.
We can send this electronically out to the commissioners that are missing tonight. Give
Yeah.
them a couple days to respond, and then Mary or I will send out the list with the contacts to you all.
Okay, now are all the neglected ones filled in with something now?
I've put my name near the ones with stars.
yeah. Right, no. Yes, all the ones with stars have people with them already.
Okay. All right, thank you, Steph, and thank you for reminding me. I was totally spaced on that. I thought we were almost done, like getting to the finish line. All right, so yes, thank you for reminding. All right, so is there anything else that we need to do for next meeting? We have an agenda item from Commissioner Moran already. We have this report, that's the draft from Ray and Teresa that we're all going to review, because we're going to discuss its disposition next time. So we've already got 2 key items. And we also have the CDBG stuff. Is that Consuelo? Is she going to come back?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 3 things. Wow, we got this meeting already planned practically.
We need
This
to
is
plan
awesome.
our holiday party.
Our holiday party, key issue. Key issue. And probably the study session. We'll have to understand what's going on with the study session, whether it's on or off, or what we're doing there. So any commissioners or staff have any other items that we want to put down for now, before the formal planning?
Are there any of the other work plan items? Do you just want to put a general topic, revisit work plan items so that any of the ones you talk about tonight can come back? can have a little more.
Yeah, you know what, I really want to get actual dates assigned as soon as possible to some of them, so, yeah, let's review that in terms of dates, and also update from Greer and Medi on how they're doing with their project, because they're a little bit in free space right now with needing to put some
Okay.
text around what they're doing. And also a follow-up on the Chinese Parents Club.
Yeah, I think if we have just a general topic.
So we have
these
several
can-
things that we need to follow
These
up
can
on.
follow up,
Okay,
fall within those.
okay, that'll be great. All right, so if there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for being here to see the film.